So nothing there.
You know, but the pass itself is more.
Yeah. I'm really surprised. I go to the Y at 6, and what are all these people doing?
So he said,
You know, so
you go right down there to the Y?
yeah, because there's no Y up here.
We still
I go play racquetball down here.
We still go to the, whatever it's called now. Was the,
Oh, you do? To Rising?
yeah, they canceled all the Paris Bible College memberships. There was a deal with it.
Oh, they
That's
did.
nice.
Isn't that great?
If you want to do that even before 4 o'clock, or at the very end of it.
Okay, I'll do it first. Is Phil or anybody here? No?
No.
Okay. Okay. Everybody ready? Hi, Sally. How many of these people leaving after this first? Let's see, we got about a minute. I don't want to get started too early.
As I walked out the door, there was a fumble and Denver recovered.
I saw it and I was so pissed off because I hate the Browns. I walked out the door at the same time. He went all the way down the field, right?
Did they? I didn't see that part.
No, I mean, Kansas City
Yeah.
couldn't score.
Too bad.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. Ready to go? Are you guys ready to go? Okay. Welcome, everybody. We will start this evening with roll call. Suzanne?
Mayor Levy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Harvey.
Here.
Carlson.
Here.
Matthews.
Here.
Mella.
Here.
And Soya and Schaefer are absent. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, this evening I'm going to start with something before that's not on the agenda, but it kind of falls under ceremonies, presentations, and appointments. And we were presented, the city was, with this wonderful poster, City Above the Clouds, Woodland Park, and Cripple Creek, the 24th annual Cruise Above the Clouds. I'm sure a lot of you joined us this past Saturday and saw the 275 or so cars from all over the state and even from outside our state. We had a tremendous weather day and a tremendous day for the 24th annual, and it just keeps getting better and better every year. The Cruiser Club Above the Crowds folks that organize, the organizers actually return close to, help me out with this, David, how much money they return?
About $22,000.
$22,000 on about a $2,500 investment from the city. So we're very fortunate to have that group in our community, and so to Phil Layton and Marshall, everybody that's involved with the Cruise Above the Clouds, I'd just like to say thank you from all of us. And this will be posted where? Where will we put this?
It ends up in our Public Works facility.
There you go.
Because they provide great assistance during that event.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4A, and I have a proclamation to read for National Arts and Humanities. The City of Woodland Park proclamation, October is Arts Month in the Pikes Peak region. Whereas the month of October has been recognized as National Arts and Humanities Month by thousands of arts and cultural organizations, communities, and states across the country, as well as by the White House and Congress for more than 2 decades. Whereas the arts and humanities embody much of the accumulated wisdom, intellect, and imagination of humankind. Whereas the arts and humanities enhances and enrich the lives of every American, including those of us living in the Pikes Peak region. Whereas the arts and humanities plays a unique role in the lives of our families, our communities, and our country. And whereas the nonprofit art industry also strengthens our national economy by generating $135.2 billion in total economic activity annually, $72 million in economic impact locally, and by supporting the full-time equivalent of 4.13 million jobs, and 2,168 of those are local jobs. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Neil Levy, by the virtue vested in me as mayor of the city of Woodland Park, do hereby proclaim October as Arts Month in Colorado's Pikes Peak region, and call upon our citizens to celebrate and promote the arts and culture in the city of Woodland Park, and to specifically encourage the greater participation by those said citizens in taking action for the arts and humanities in our community. Signed, Neil Levy. Suzanne?
Thank you, Mayor Levy. Tonight we have with us a representative for that proclamation. It's Mr. Andy Vick, and we'd like him to come to the podium and tell us a bit about Arts Month.
Welcome, Andy.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and member of the councils. My name is Andy Vick. I'm the Executive Director of the Cultural Office of the Pikes Peak region, which is also known by the acronym COPPER. And it's our job throughout El Paso and Teller counties to support and nurture and grow the arts. And so your proclamation this evening is most appreciated. And it is, we're doing this I was up earlier this week with the Teller County Commissioners. We're doing the same thing with multiple municipalities in both counties. And it's an opportunity to raise awareness for arts and culture, not only because it's good for the soul, but it's also good for the economy. Arts and cultural tourists spend lots of money at our restaurants, in our bars, in our galleries, and through all kinds of other retail. So it is an important economic driver, according to the numbers you read there. That's from a recent study we did. So they're very important in our community, and we work closely with the Woodland Park Arts Alliance to make sure that arts and culture up here is valued and grows and is celebrated. So on behalf of all of us at the Cultural Office of the Pikes Peak region, we thank you, and we look forward to encouraging all the citizens of this, not only this city, but this county and this region, to have one new cultural experience during the month of October. That's what we're asking people to do, whether it's here in Woodland Park, or whether it's down in Colorado Springs, or up in Tri-Lakes, or out in Cripple Creek, wherever it may be. That's what we're encouraging our community members to do. So thank you very much for your time this evening, and if you're willing, I would love to get an official photograph.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Hey, there it is.
There you go.
All right. Thanks very much. Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vick. We'll move on to 4B and North Teller Build a Generation, and Karen Svetich Casey. Welcome, Karen.
So Mayor and City Council, thank you so much for letting us come and update you. This is about recognizing some amazing people and about sharing with you some inspiring things. So the first thing I wanted to share with you is just a reminder about North Teller Build a Generation. Our coalition does strategic prevention planning. And as a coalition, we collaborate and find meaningful ways to do programming for our youth. And the Teen Center is an incredibly important part of our work. And it has to be central because it's a great place to be, and it's a great place to foster wholeness and well things for our children. So first of all, I just would like to introduce you to, if you haven't already met, Mary Lee Allen, who is the supervisor at the Teen Center, and Candy McDaniel, who is a Teen Center staff member, and this is their first year anniversary week. So it's a really appropriate time for us to be here to share this. And I kind of tease because there's this fine line between volunteering and voluntolding. And I have to say, though, that these three gentlemen are ultimate volunteers, and they're really passionate about our children. And so first is John Allen. You may notice name similarities. So John has, behind the scenes, developed an attendance and registration database and done this remarkable stuff with the cash register so that the staff can show accountability, they can keep good records, they have all these reports he's managed to create for them to be able to run. And then you'll also see John chaperoning at different events, at lock-ins, and we really appreciate that. And then we have Mike McDaniel. And so Mike is just a fixture at the Teen Center. And you'll find him at the Elevate Cafe. He makes a mean dish of nachos, and he's serving to the kids. He is always there when the kids are out doing recycling and when they're doing Adopt-A-Spot pickup. And then I would be remiss if I didn't say he is the chief schlepper. He is always hauling stuff in and out and hanging stuff up, and there are so many things that couldn't have been accomplished without him. And then finally, Eddie Allen. So you see this sequence. And Eddie is a young man who recognizes the value of volunteerism. And he has been there. I say that he's our utility man. And he comes and helps with the cafe. He runs errands. He'll fill in for any activity that we have. And without volunteers in our community, you know that we can't exist. And I forgot, Mary Lee has a couple of statistics she's going to share.
So back in September 2014, when I took over, I had 375 attendees at the Teen Center. So with our records now, we are up as of September of 2015 to 557. With, in the past 45 days, we've had 72 new members. So that's pretty cool.
So then we have an opportunity to work with some of the most amazing people in our community, and that is our youth. And so today we're focused more on our Teen Advisory Board members, and almost all of them are here this evening, and I'm so happy to get to introduce them to you. If, as I call your name, if you would step forward, that would be wonderful. And so Braden Arnold, Alyssa Carr, Sabin Foreman, James Madrid, Bailey McDaniel, Hannah McDaniel, Rebecca McDaniel. You see any common themes here? And then there is another member who wasn't able to make it tonight. She had a conflict, and that's Lana Rasmussen. And I would really, really like it if all of you could turn around and face the audience, and so they see the face of our wonderful community members. So, sorry, I'm not done yet, Jessica. Just a couple more things that I wanted to share with you about some of the programming, because the whole dynamics have changed over the last years in a significant way. And so you'll just see some of the activities. Here's an example of a Adopt-A-Spot as everybody's getting ready to go out. And the lower picture is a city recognition dinner that the students and staff and volunteers put on. The staff have found ways to foster kids expressing themselves in creative ways. And so you see the tree on the left. It was Life is Good tree, and they were able to post what was good in their lives, and so that they could see that every day. And then, of course, when it came to the 4th of July, sidewalk chalk artwork. So just a couple of other examples. The students helped with the last day of school party. It was so freezing that day. And then open houses and first responder dinners where people are coming in and actually just chatting and having good exchange together. Then this summer, Carrie Kilgore with Elevated in Motion last spring got a group of youth service providers together, and we had several discussions, and we put a stake in the ground in June and decided to do a summer pilot collaborative. And so a few of the partners were Catamount Center, Catamount Institute, Guides to Go, the Teen Center, Catamount, did I say Institute also? And and some really fun outdoor opportunities became a reality. And there was a half a day up at the Catamount Center where they had multiple learning opportunities, hands-on, experiential learning opportunities. They did robotics, they did guided hikes, they got to have fly fishing lessons, and it was really amazing. And then one of the last things, the Teen Center staff had a lock-in, and Guides to Go came and did a night scavenger hunt. And it was all guided. It was just a really terrific learning experience. And so we were really, really proud of that. So then the next thing is the middle of summer comes, and we open our emails, and GoCo announced a new grant opportunity, and it was the Inspire Initiative. And we all looked and said, oh my gosh, this is us. And so we decided to let the 4th of July get finished, and then we all got together and analyzed it. We went to a workshop, and then got together with about 25 partners throughout the community, and we said, we are positioned to apply. And so we applied for this GoCo Inspire grant, and it will be announced, the winners, the awardees will be announced October 23rd. And it involves a 9-month planning period and then a 3-year implementation period to get the kids outdoors in meaningful ways. Well, part of that application process required the kids to get involved with that application. And Saban was good enough to say, I can do that. And so he led that effort. He got a bunch of the teens together and asked them, in your wildest dreams, what would your outdoor adventure experiences look like in this community? We had some wonderful kids respond. They were a little shy, but they are always inspiring.
So I would create a parkour course and let's run around. I would have an outdoor swimming pool. I would like an outdoor ropes course. I would like a water place to run around and have fun. If I can have anything outdoors, it would be an outdoor rock climbing wall. There.
If we can do anything that we wanted to outside, we would love to go on more hikes, especially at nighttime, so we can hear the different kind of animals and just enjoy it. And we would love to have a dog park so we can go outside and just play with our dogs. And I love camping, so we'd love to do more camping, just hike somewhere. We also love rope climbing and fly fishing, just anything that gets us outside.
So thank you again for the opportunity. Does anybody have questions or comments or, yes?
I just really have to say something. There are probably a few people in here that remember a group called Update many, many years ago with Karen O'Brien that started the Teen Center, refurbished the old building where the Historical Society is today. And it's so rewarding to see what that's grown into and how this has developed. It just makes you feel good, and it's worth putting in the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. You're welcome. Thank you.
I'd like to take a moment just to thank everybody, starting with Karen for leading this whole program, if you will, at kind of the 50,000 foot level, and certainly Mary Lee and Candy and their families, clearly, and everybody that's involved here today. It's a special thing that you're doing, and to kind of reflect on what Kenny said. I don't go back as far as when the Osborne started, but in the last 5 or 7 years, the improvement and the growth at the Teen Center has just been remarkable, and I know from hearing from kids that it's much improved and it's a great asset to our community. So as being the mayor, I get to do some special things. One of those is to present folks in the community with a mayor's pin for those who, if you will, go above and beyond. And I think it's clear that all of you here today do that for our community, and so I want to give every one of you a mayor's pin and have everyone, council, on behalf of the city and everybody in this room today, give you a big round of applause. Thank you. It's one of the great things the mayor gets to do, and we appreciate it. Okay, we will move on to item 4C, and Suzanne?
Thank you, Mayor Levy. This evening, we have appointments to the Board of Adjustment. On June 11th, Val Carr submitted his resignation from the Board of Adjustment. In January 2015, if you recall, you swore in Mr. Wiecamp as an alternate member of the Board of Adjustment. Tonight, we would like to make Mr. Wiecamp a permanent member of the committee, and then we have 2 new applicants that would like to be alternate members. I don't believe any of them are here this evening. And so, anyhow, pardon me? Do you want to do it without them being here?
Oh, it's fine. We were just, I'm sorry, we mentioned it's the Broncos game. That is probably why they're not here, and some of us may be jealous of that.
Okay, so we'll move forward. So what we're asking for the council tonight is to appoint Mr. Wiecamp as a regular member instead of an alternate member. We've had 2 applications from Mr. Louis Ramon and Mr. Kevin Sterling. Both were called and invited to come this evening. We would like them to be appointed alternate members of the Board of Adjustment Committee. They both have different terms, and that's what we would need the council, or we would ask them what they want to do. 1 term for the alternates ends January 1st, 2018, and 1 term ends January 1st, 2017. So we would ask that they are appointed this evening, the regular member, 2 alternates, and then terms are decided in whatever fashion you would like.
Suzanne, without them being here, how are we going to determine who gets what position in terms of the... Can we talk to them?
Yeah. If you would allow, if council would allow, I would like to be able to speak with them and see what they would like, and then I can put them into that term.
Well, which of the 2 alternate candidates applied first?
I can tell you that in 1 second.
There might be a more simple way to approach it. So
We had Mr. Sterling applied first.
I would first make the motion to approve
Mr. Wiecamp.
Wiecamp as our new member. Should we do these separately?
We can do them all in one motion.
My preference would be, we already have seen and met and interviewed Mr. Wiecamp, and that would fill the regular position.
Correct.
I really would like to meet these 2 other individuals if there's no urgency to this, maybe at the next meeting, if there's no Broncos.
There's Sally. Sally, is there an urgency to this evening?
Well, there is a meeting coming up next Monday, which would be great to have them on board to be able to observe or participate.
And Bob, there's only 2 for 2 positions.
Okay. Okay, well,
That makes any difference.
oh, then that would be fine, but I still like to meet people before we appoint them as a board, on board and things like that. But since, like you say, there are only 2 positions, I can go along with whatever process the council wants to take.
And we could bring them back to the council meeting at some point for you to be introduced to them.
Right, sworn in and all that.
Questions? Ken? Phil? Carol, why don't you go ahead with your motion? I like the idea of
What
that.
was my motion? Okay, my motion, I move that we appoint Mr. Wiecamp as the new Board of Adjustment member, and that we appoint Mr. Sterling as the alternate with a term to expire in January 2018, and Mr. Ramon with a term to expire on January 1st, 2017. And that is simply based on whose application was received first.
Second. We have a second. Any discussion? Okay, Suzanne, we'll call for a vote.
Carlson?
Yes.
Harvey? Yes. Levy?
Yes?
Matthews?
Yes.
Mella?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Suzanne. Okay, we'll move on. No additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda. We'll move on to the consent calendar, and Suzanne will take these together, I guess.
Thank you, Mayor Levy. This evening on the consent calendar, we have the minutes from the September 3rd council meeting, and we also have the July 2015 statement of expenditures for approval.
Questions, council?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So on the September 9th memo indicating July expenditures, It looks like is this accurate reading that we're $2,000 over budget in the monthly report of mayor and council expenditures? Am I misreading it? So basically, you got mayor's expense, council expense, and then the total 2015 budget is $6,500. Year to date is $8,530. And we've got a negative delta.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and
I don't have an explanation for that other than we had a record attendance at the Colorado Municipal League conference. We typically have 4 or 5 attend. We had 6. I'll do some more research to explain that in detail.
then maybe we want to adjust the budget then if there's
Sure. And
whatever. But
absolutely, we can do that.
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Anybody else? Okay, Suzanne. Well, I'm sorry, we need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second. All right, Suzanne.
Harvey?
Yes.
Levy?
Yes?
Matthews?
Yes.
Mella?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Suzanne. We have no unfinished business tonight, and so we'll move on to item number 8 on the agenda and ordinances on initial posting. Welcome, Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Mayor Levy and Council. Mayor Levy and Council, before you tonight is Ordinance 1251 on initial posting. This ordinance contains proposed administrative regulations that will govern work within the city's public rights-of-way. My intention tonight is to be brief and to not go into detail and to reserve and save that discussion for the public hearing that will be scheduled for October 1st if you pass this ordinance on initial posting. I will, however, point out that you were provided with a draft of the administrative regulations. They are part of Ordinance 1251. Council should have also been provided with, and I know that they were, a red line version of those administrative regulations. The red line compares what council saw prior to the work session that council held on August 20th and the present proposed form of the administrative regulations. I will also let council know that those changes reflect further refinement on the part of the staff team and myself that has been working on these regulations, as well as changes that were elicited through comments received so far in the city's process asking for comments on these. I have provided council with a council memorandum that was distributed to you. It does go into detail on the comments that were received and how the draft proposed administrative regulations have been changed or not changed to reflect those comments. I will say that in places where there were no changes, those were the result of several things. One would be the limited staff time available, so comments such as 14-day turnaround time for the permit should be reconsidered. That has not been reconsidered, and that's one of the reasons it has not been. Staff is limited, and so the feeling is that that's a reasonable amount of time given the limited staff. Some of the other reasons for no changes are because the changes requested deal with rather technical issues, and upon engineering review, it was a determination that based on best practices and best standards, those would remain as is. Other reasons for no change would have been recent experience on the part of city staff in dealing with problems in the right-of-way or substandard construction problems in the right-of-way. And so some of those changes were not made because of the feeling that the standards as proposed address that very concern. And so that's some background on those changes. At the public hearing, we would expect to bring you a presentation similar to what council had in the work session. It would provide really the basis and the legislative background for why we are presenting these at this time to council. The main reason, of course, to have consistency with the level of work done in the city's public rights-of-way. That is, after all, the city's backbone, and the city has a significant investment in its surface streets. I would recommend that council adopt this on initial posting and set the public hearing for October 1st. I would be happy to answer questions. Kip Riley, the Utilities Director, is here, and he may also be able to help me answer questions. The city engineer is not present, so we may be able to defer some questions for October 1st. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Questions, Claire?
And the only question I had is, when will the fee schedule be published?
The fee schedule will be brought to you as a form of a resolution, and we would hope to coordinate that with the second meeting of this ordinance. We have explicitly added to the typical effective date clause of this ordinance. We've made the effective date of this ordinance tied to the approval of that fee schedule. So the fee schedule would have to be approved in order for these new permit standards to apply. And then, I'm sorry, Mayor, I do have one further comment if there are no other questions from council, and that is to apprise council the fact that what we have done with these administrative standard regulations is we have posted them on the city's website. We have requested and solicited comments on them. We have done that in consistent with what the city has done with past regulatory adoptions, such as the engineering specifications. We have not, and I will repeat, we have not invited individual members to sit down and meet with staff, and the reasons being that that's not the practice the city has used before, and the time commitment for staff at this point didn't seem to be the most effective way to move these regulations forward. And as you can see, to have them provided written comments in the form that we were a couple weeks ago is very helpful. Provided written comments, one can respond to those, and it works very well. Thank you.
Questions? Nothing else? We just call for a motion to consider ordinance and set it for a public hearing on October 1st.
So moved.
It's ordinance 1251, I'm sorry. Second. We have a second. Suzanne?
Levy.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Mella.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Suzanne. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 9 on your agenda and public hearings. And before we do that, I will read the following announcement. Council members use electronic devices to access the materials relevant to the public hearing before us. Be assured that it is the common practice of this city council that these devices are not being used for texting, emailing, or other communications during public hearings. That said, we will move to number 9A, and Suzanne?
Thank you, Mayor Levy. This is for a transfer of liquor license for Woodland Park Wild Wings that we need to have tabled and bring back to you on October 1st.
Sounds good. Do we need a motion to table this?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Move to table.
Second.
Suzanne?
Thank you. Matthews?
Yes.
Mella?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Levy?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Thanks, Suzanne. Number 9B, and Laura Pellegrino is all ready for us. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you, Mayor Levy and members of council. My name is Laura Pellegrino. I am the city planner. Tonight we have before you an ordinance for a vacation of an interior easement related to a lot line between two lots held in common tenancy. This is the Craig vacation number 15-005. It is a request by Robert and Laura Craig, who are the property owners, to vacate the 20-foot platted utility easement between Lot 2 of the Loft House West subdivision and Lot 4, Block 1 of Cunningham subdivision in the suburban residential zone district with addresses of 1031 and 1051 West South Avenue. This did come before council for initial first reading on September 3rd, 2015. This map on the PowerPoint presentation shows the general location within the city's jurisdiction. The site is located right here in a blue dot with the red word site next to it. You can see Highway 24 curving around through the city of Woodland Park and Highway 67 going north, and the site itself is just west of Highway 67. Here is a map showing an aerial photo taken in 2011 from the Teller County GIS information systems. The site is outlined in blue. Those are the two lots that are in consideration today. Lot 2 is the one to the west, Lot 4 is to the east. You can see Spruce Haven coming off of Highway 67 right here. And this is North Coraline, South Avenue right here, and at the end of this cul-de-sac is the access to these two lots. So this gives you just a general overview of the characteristics of this residential neighborhood. It's very well treed. These are two photos. One photo, the one on the left, is Lot 2. It is the one with the improvement on it. That is the house that is on Lot 2. The photo on the right is Lot 4, and it is currently vacant. So the applicants are hoping to merge the two lots into one lot and vacate that easement that sits between them. This is a graphic showing the lot line between these two lots right down the middle. And with that vacation of the lot line, which is an administrative process, what is before council today is the vacation of the adjacent 10-foot utility easement that sits on both sides of that lot. Staff has reviewed this application. There are no adverse effects on utilities. There are no adverse effects on access, road construction, the local area traffic patterns, and there are no adverse effects to adjacent landowners. This will result in one contiguous lot. It will conform to the comprehensive plan that currently exists in the City of Woodland Park. It complies with all of the requirements of the suburban suburban residential zone district. The deeds are in the same tenancy. Staff did refer this application for this easement vacation to the Utilities Department, to the Public Works Department, and to our field inspector. We also referred it out to the Northeast Teller County Fire Protection District, to IREA, Black Hills, and other service providers that may have some implications, or utilities in the area. We received no concerns, no written comments from any of the utility providers. IREA is going to maintain any lines that do exist, and that letter was submitted with the application. Staff has no concerns with any of the vacation or the utility easement vacations. Public notices were sent out to any immediately adjacent property owner within 150 feet of the perimeter of these two lots. One poster was posted on both lots, and tonight's hearing was published in the Pikes Peak Courier. Staff received no comments or concerns from any of the adjacent property owners. Based on staff's findings, staff does recommend approval of Ordinance 1249 vacating the 20-foot utility easement between Lot 2, Loft House West, and Loft 4, Block 1, Cunningham Subdivision, with addresses of 1030 and 1051 West South Avenue in the Suburban Residential Zone District, as requested by Robert and Laura Craig, who are the property owners. Robert and Laura Craig are not here tonight, unfortunately, and aren't available to answer any questions. But if council has any questions, I can answer them. And that concludes my presentation.
Thanks, Laura. Questions? Doesn't look like we have any, Laura. Thank you very much. Audience, any concerns, comments? Since we're in public hearing, sir, if you'd like to, you can. 1 second, sir. Yeah, just come up and give us your name and address, and then you can comment.
My name is Mike Galvin. I live at 400 Coraline Street, so directly across the street from this location. And I just want to say I would be in support of it. It's a small lot. It would crowd that area in being developed. So I think it would be a great addition to the neighborhood. It would go along well with the city, and so I thank you for considering that. I think it would be a good decision. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Mike. Anybody else? Okay, if not, we'll call for a motion to approve Ordinance 1249.
I move to approve Ordinance 1229.
I will second that, but I'd also like to thank Laura for such a thorough presentation, and you always do that. And if I ever have to vacate or ask for a vacation of an easement, I will be glad to give it to you to do all the paperwork. Thank you so much. I second that motion.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, Suzanne, we have a motion and a second.
Thank you. Mella?
Yes.
Carson?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Levy?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. Okay, we'll move on to number 9C and approving ordinance number 1250. And Brian Fleer, welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Again, Brian Fleer, City Woodland Park Economic Development Director and Downtown Development Authority as well. Before you tonight is the second reading of ordinance 1250, which considers an ordinance amendment prepared by the city attorney and with your attached associated graphics and line drawings that highlight the various aspects of the easement in question. I'll point out in the teal color, just a little geographic reference. This is Lot 1 of the Vector Bank parcel. Lot 2 that we've talked about regarding a future purchase of Lot 2. This is the Vector parcel, so 1, 2. This is the easement in teal, approximately 81 feet north to south in width. This would be the easement in question that we're referencing as it relates to future access. As council will recall, I can give you another reference. The Woodland Station master plan includes Saddle Club Drive, Park Street, north-south on the eastern portion of Woodland Station, West Street on the western, again, Vector Bank, you'll recall the AmeriGas site, Lot 2, and then Woodland Hardware here. So this would perfect the ability to extend Saddle Club at a future date to West Street. With that staff recommendation, the Woodland Park DDA Director recommends approval of the easement agreement. I'd be glad to answer any questions or comments that Mayor Council may have at this time. Questions? Go ahead, Bob.
Is Vector in any hurry to get this money?
They're in a hurry to close the deal. Well, actually, there is no money associated with the easement agreement per se. Okay.
Okay, but is there a separate agreement then we would have for the $100,000?
That is in the actual easement agreement. It states that a simultaneous closing would involve both the easement and a closing of Lot 2.
So when do we authorize the $100,000?
That would be at a subsequent meeting. This needs to happen first, and then that would follow, based on council's desire.
Okay. Well, this, in a sense, like you said, it doesn't cost us anything. It preserves an option sometime in the future, whether or not we authorize the $100,000 or not. My only concern is that we've had a lot of turmoil in that property, and master plans have come and go. And if we ever do actually get a developer there, they will probably want to just do something with the trailer park at the end where Black Hills Energy is off to the side there, and actually the road connection from that whole lot over to West Street would probably be better where Black Hills Energy is right now. But those are things that can be worked out when we actually get a development plan. I don't mind authorizing at this point the easement, just because we can unauthorize it sometime too if it's not used. But anyway, these are considerations we need to come into in the future, whether $100,000 is something we want to pay this year.
This easement clearly gives us options in the future. It's been a rather protracted negotiation between the Vectra interests, and very grateful to our city attorney who's helped us with the language of the ordinance and worked with the Vectra attorneys to be able to get to where we are today.
Thanks, Brian. Anybody else? Okay, public comment. Anybody have a comment on the easement? If not, we'll call for a motion to approve ordinance number 1250.
I move approval of ordinance 1250 as presented.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Suzanne?
Carlson?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Levy?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Mella?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Okay. We'll move on to public comment items not on the agenda today, and I've got a few signees, and let's start with Mike Alvin.
Sorry, I'm going to drag my laptop up here. I didn't have an opportunity to print off my notes, so it's been a busy day. So these are just some notes I wanted to take. My name is Mike Galvin. I live at 400 Coraline Street. I wanted to come today and just talk with, I guess, council about the proposal that came out, the press release concerning the moving the pool to the school site, and some concerns that I have with that. I spoke with Suzanne, the city clerk. She was very nice and said, please come to the council meeting and speak with us about it. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit. I am against moving the site over to the school property for a number of reasons. One of them being terrible traffic flow. It's a constant pain getting in and out of that area, especially on school mornings and afternoons, getting in and out of it. Parking is always an issue. The school has paid parking spots now for students, and so I struggle to see in that small, dinky little lot how we're now going to accommodate students as well as all the parking needed for this facility. There will be no room, obviously, for expansion because we'll be stuffing this into a very limited space. And then I have concern with the school initially giving this over to the city, and I wonder what's going to happen in the future when the city has a need and now is able to leverage against the city and say, well, we donated this land, we gave you these things, now we're asking for this. It just, I have a fear that the school is going to creep into it, and just like I look at the play park that was a community project that the school donated the land for, you look at the play park now, and though the school wouldn't be maintaining the pool, the play park is poorly maintained now and has all sorts of restrictions placed upon it, and it's almost unusable during school days because it's closed down the entire time that school's there. And then probably one of the biggest reasons that I see it being an issue is that it now opens up the door for sex offenders of children to be able to come onto school grounds and now be able to use the pool as an excuse to get close to children. That's probably one of the biggest concerns I have with moving that facility on there as far as a safety concern. I wanted to address the recent press release which says that the Aquatic Center has not been reduced in scope to go into this location. The originally proposed amenities of the Aquatic Center remain part of the plan. And to me, that's clever wording, I guess. What was the original size of this project? I looked at the master plan on it. That's a large chunk of land, and there's no way that you can tell me that the chunk of land that's on that school property is even close to the size that the new pool, or that the pool was originally proposed to be on. And so I'd like to know that we actually have a guarantee if it goes into this location that it's going to be the same size, not scope. Scope is a very clever word that can be used, and you can say, well, we still have a pool, we still have a kids area, that falls within the scope, but it really doesn't address. We voted on that. We were sold specific items out of that in a certain size. And so I really have a fear looking at that lot that it would not be able to stay at that size. And then I'd love to know in the future how we can still know that the school isn't going to come back and say, well, it's on our property, we have some rights, or we have ways that we can now restrict citizens and say, well, it's busy during school hours, or it's busier during this time, and so we don't want the public in there. Let's see. Some of the issues I have, too, is that if the land is so cost prohibitive to develop at $3 million, I understand that's a lot of money for the city. Do we really think then at that point the private industry is not going to look at that and go, well, that's no longer that's out of our reach as well? I look at it, I kind of have this thought of, is it going to be the field of dreams for the city that now turns into the field of weeds? Because now we've no longer developed it, and we've essentially said as a city, it's way too expensive to develop. And what does that send to developers saying, well, if the city won't touch it, we certainly don't want to get involved in something like that. And now I want to go, I guess, into reasons why I think it would be good. It's going to serve as a catalyst to start future development. And like I said, going back into private industry, if private industry can't do it, then hopefully as a city, as we start developing that would encourage private industry. It's the best exposure for tourist usage. It's going to catch their eye coming into town and be something that's easily accessible for them. It's the most central location inside of town. And then I'll say, if what I'm saying is just hearsay, but I'll use the city's words, because this is what the city was quoted as out of the Woodland Park Aquatic Project a little over a year ago. They said, the Downtown Development Authority's master plan was revised to show the project at the southern end of the site. City Council agreed, believing that this facility would kickstart the development and serve as the real cornerstone of this development. Future development here adds to the long-term economic benefit of the city and real property tax revenue streams. That's what this council said. Okay? So they also pointed out at this location, the Aquatic Center forms a great anchor for the planned development in the Woodland Station site, as it will be attractive, stable, and a large community draw. Great access for users in and out of Woodland Park, room for growth so upgrades are not boxed in, which I imagine the current site is going to have none of that. Southern exposure for solar heating and possible Pikes Peak views. So some pretty strong things from the city saying this is why we want to do it. However, though, in Mr. Buttery's press release that he released, he had the complete opposite to it. Suddenly it was not a good site. It was something that you criticized and was like, well, future development would be better for housing and things like that. And so there's a complete reversal. It went from being the ideal location to suddenly now, well, no, this isn't a good location. We shouldn't have this here. And so I find that interesting that we flip-flopped, that the city flip-flopped on their point. But I've come with all these kind of complaints, issues, concerns. I should have some solutions or some ideas behind it. And so one of my first questions would be, is the DDA. The DDA currently takes money, honestly, from fire boards, from our school districts, public libraries. They take those tax dollars that would have come in when those properties were developed, and they use that to fund back into the community. I'd like to see that money come back to the community in something besides businesses that I've seen fail inside of town, and development that benefits all of us inside of it. And so I'd really love to know if DDA money is available to do something like that. Meadowwood Park was obviously an option. I know that it affects the master plan and it takes away from some of those things. However, I think that given the opportunity of the community to say, would you rather have more ball fields and basketball parks or a pool in this location, there might be support in that case. There are many different lots in town that I've noticed, commercial lots. I haven't had time, unfortunately, to research the costs of those things. I realize they cost money, but all of these things cost money. They're going to take infrastructure in the high school, different things like that. And so I look at Inc., I look at Denny's. There's lots of vacant land right along a highway that may be suitable for that as well. And then there's also the land donation and the person along Highway 67 that offered to donate that land. That's a donation. That's free land, and I'm shocked that we would just dismiss that and not put that as an option. And if that person is not, then that's not. That was information that was given to me. So some of the other things I look at as far as offsetting costs or for land purchases would be, obviously, I thought when we initially talked about this, construction was going to happen a lot sooner than what it is. Obviously, we've been delayed in that. Well, the city has already said that they were going to have to put money towards keeping this pool up and running, and so could that money, it should have been budgeted at some point, could that money that's not being used now be used to offset some of those things? So my closing statement is this: we've been waiting for an aquatic center in this community since I was a child. This will be a facility that long outlives everybody in this room. I'm asking that you don't quickly throw away the legacy for a cheaper version for the sake of a quick cost-cutting measure. I'm asking that you please allow the citizens in the community to have a little bit more input before we quickly move forward with this. It seems like it came upon the agenda and happened very quick, and I would like to see an opportunity for the public to weigh in and really have a chance to express their views. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Galvin. You bring up a lot of great points. I'm going to let David answer some of them. You're a little misinformed on some of them, so we'll try to clear these up. But I appreciate all the input because certainly there are a number that share your concerns. So thank you for that. And I'm going to turn it over to David and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Mayor. Mike, thanks for your thoughts. They're well put together and they're very thorough. I'm going to start in the middle. Okay. When you talked about my statements and the council statements about this project being a catalyst in the downtown area, absolutely. I thought at the time that it would be a great catalyst. I don't know that I agree with you about tourist usage. Yes, there would be more exposure on 24 than perhaps near the high school. I don't know how many tourists are going to pull in. They'll do their Google, they'll do their research, and they'll find the pool. Did I reverse? I did. I absolutely did, and I've acknowledged that publicly several times. The reason that I did that is because of the costs associated with that site. Just like you're a businessman, and you have a budget that you have to live with, and we're family people. We have budgets that we have to live with. I get an allowance from our taxpayers to spend in the best way that we think is appropriate. I could not justify spending upwards of $3 million to develop a site. I couldn't go there. Earlier, I could agree to spend some to help that catalyst occur. Once we got some decent engineering in, some more defined cost estimates, I just couldn't go there. I couldn't recommend to the council that we sink that many millions of dollars into a site. And so I did recommend to them that we look at a different location. Traffic, now I'll go down your list fairly quickly. We have those concerns too, and so we're going to involve traffic engineers. We think there will be some improvements that will be necessary along Baldwin. We've done some things in the past. At the north entrance to the school administration area, we installed some left turn lanes and some right turn lanes to help deconflict and allow traffic to move. We think that would be necessary for this. Parking, we've toured the parking lots with the superintendent and with Mr. Gustafson, and there's quite a bit of empty spaces there now, and we actually had a meeting yesterday to talk about parking specifically and how we could come up with a plan that would allow for that parking to occur, and we will continue to pursue that. The expansion, the site that we are looking at is 76,000 square feet. The first phase is around 26 or 27,000 or so. Even if we added some parking, 40 parking spaces, that leaves us about 25,000 square feet available should the community want us to do expansion. The lot is smaller than the lot that existed in the Woodland Station property, primarily because there was a vast component of that that was useless because of Fountain Creek. So we've taken the we've taken the most recent plan and placed it on that property, and it fits. I want to talk about your comments on scope. My term of scope was not intended to deceive. That's not my modus operandi. I'm an engineer. When I think of scope, I think of the facility as it's discussed. So it was not intended to mask any unintended consequences. In my definition of scope, it's exactly what the community saw and more. The scope that the community saw before the vote did not include several things that the community has come back to us and asked us to do, which caused the price to go up, which made sense. So we've actually increased the scope from the concept that the community saw before the vote. And just another point, the vote did not include a location. The vote did not include any definition of what the scope would be. It said an aquatic center and those things associated with an aquatic center. So it left us great flexibility to add a therapy pool that the community has said they wanted, to add 2 warm water lap lanes that the community has said that they wanted. So when I say the scope, it's actually gotten bigger from what the community saw before they voted, and it is exactly the same as what was going to be built in Woodland Station. I'm happy to show anyone those plans and make that comparison to you. So the specific items that were sold to the community are still there, plus. Okay. The sex offenders. It's interesting that that's a concern, and I can understand it and respect it, but I believe, after talking with our chief of police, that there's actually greater safety near the school because sex offenders cannot go where kids congregate, and kids congregate at schools. And so there's school resource officers, there's administrators. In our opinion, we think the kids would be safer from sex offenders there than they would be someplace not so close to the school. Sex offenders cannot go where kids gather. So we think we have a good answer associated with that one. The property issue, we're still exploring what is the best mechanism. Is it a lease from the school district to us, or is it an out-and-out purchase? We're talking to the school district attorney to see what that would look like. And this is a good point to make at this time. If the negotiations with the school district fail, we just know that we're not going to build in Woodland Station. I can't justify that $3 million or more expenditure to get that site ready to build the building. Dollars to develop DDA. Yeah, it was going to be very expensive. I just mentioned some of those numbers. To me, it was a prudent, responsible decision not to build in Woodland Station because of the cost. I have to be respectful of taxpayer dollars. $3 million is a lot of people's sweat to fill the coffers to spend on something that I don't think we have to anymore. I think there's a better solution.
But the DDA, though...
I'll talk about that.
Okay.
So you mentioned about DDA dollars being available. The DDA is currently in debt to Vector Bank for about $2 million. They're paying that off on an annual basis. They're still in debt to the city for about $1 million. They're not making any payments on that. So they don't have any money to funnel towards an aquatic center. In fact, if commercial or retail is built in that area, then it allows their coffers to grow. The city is tax exempt. We would not be helping the DDA in any way by building there, except for the ancillary benefits of perhaps drawing people into that area. But again, I couldn't justify spending millions of dollars to capture what, we're not sure what would happen there. The Meadowood Master Plan, I don't want to just blow that off and say, you know, we can build there. You're absolutely right. When we build this, we're going to do it one time, and we are going to do it right. If we build at Meadowood, then we cannot do the other things that were planned at that location. There is a master plan. We should honor that. We should respect it. Beyond that, the site there is not as difficult as Woodland Station, but more difficult than the school site. It's on a hillside. There are no views of Pikes Peak. It's heavily wooded. And I can tell you that as soon as we would suggest Meadowood Sports Complex, every person that lives along Evergreen Heights Drive in Northwoods would be concerned about traffic on their street. Once it's built, it's there. The land on 67 that was donated, I drove out to it yesterday to make sure that I wasn't doing something stupid. And I drove around it again, and I checked to see what the views look like, and I checked what the terrain looked like. It could be built there. There is no question. It too is difficult terrain to build on. There's a drainage swale that runs through there. There's a signal light that would have to be installed at 67 and Kelly's Road and Stone Ridge.
Which has already been set up, correct? There's pipe in the ground and the master plan calls for that, I believe?
There's infrastructure. There's the concrete foundations are there.
Okay.
And the conduit is there. And there's actually about a $60,000 to $80,000 escrow with CDOT that the developer had to place there. But we're still talking about another $200,000 to $300,000 to get the poles, the lights, and that whole system put in place. So there's no traffic signal there. There's a place to mount the poles, and there's tubes to run the wires.
But we're planning on doing that. So to say, it'd be different if we had no ground in there and say to not, but we've laid the foundation essentially and put it in,
Sure.
and then to use the guise of saying, well, it's going to cost us money.
It's not a guise, it's a fact. It's a fact that it would cost us
we're
money.
going to spend it at some point. So
But we don't have to spend it now. Anyway, I just don't think that's a buildable site. And the operations cost by delaying the construction by the few months that we have, absolutely. I've rolled that back into the budget to use to make the facility as best as we can make it. I can tell you that we would be struggling to provide all the amenities in the DDA location. I will still struggle some over here or wherever we do it, but we're trying to close that gap as much as we can. I save a lot of money by building on that very buildable site near water mains, near sewer mains, and all those kinds of things. So that's my answer to your questions. If you'd like to come in sometime to have a further dialogue or have it here or look at the plans, look at the budgets, I'm an open book, and I want to get as much information as I can. I've been posting things on Facebook. I saw your post at 6:45.
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't aware of it till then, and those were my questions to kind of throw out there, I guess, and get people talking and spur conversation about it, because there's absolutely a point of money. But like I said, I went back. This is a legacy thing, and so I look at it and say, to me, even if it was something that we have to delay it for a few more years to do it, I would rather see it in a location that I believe better than the school district, for something that's going to be around for a long time. I mean, we talk about households and budgets, but sometimes the prudent answer is you spend more money or you have to do something else, because that's the better purchase and that's the better investment in things. Just like with my business. Yeah, I could buy a cheaper tractor, I could do things cheaper, but there's times I choose to go to that next level because the quality of the product that I get needs to be there as well. And so the one question I asked too was, how do we assure that the school district doesn't come back and that they're not going to have... I'm honestly concerned the school is going to come in and start restricting those things, and they're going to have kind of their teeth in this project because it's on their land, It
may not necessarily be on their land. That's to be determined. If we purchase it, it's ours. And then we will have an agreement with the school district. We do that now. We share facilities. We share Panther Field. We share basketball courts. We share other things that work very well. So we will make sure that that agreement is as tight as we can make it, so that we don't have that kind of an issue.
Mike, I want to thank you. We're going to have to move on, but I want to add a few things while you're still here, because I think they're important. One, I think we all share a lot of the same concerns, and one of the concerns I have, because I've got young kids also, is what you mentioned relative to the school and the pool being on that site together. There's a couple of opportunities in Colorado Springs, one with Sierra High School and the YMCA, and one at Liberty High School and a city municipal pool there. The YMCA manages both of those, as they do all the municipal pools in town. And we've checked with them and asked them numerous questions. One of them was relative to what you just said, and they have not experienced the kind of situations that you referred to. So that's first. I'm not saying that's not going to happen here, but just that's the background that we have. Second, and more important, I think, in big picture, and I think everybody here will agree that's here, our city manager is as honest and as forthright and as transparent as you'll find anywhere, anytime. His door is always open. If you have any concerns, or any of your friends have any concerns, all you need to do is contact him, contact any one of us. Nothing that we're doing is under a guise. We're not trying to cover up anything. We're trying to be as forthright as possible. That's one of the reasons for this kind of forum. So please, I think that's important, because our city, I want our city to work together on this and get this thing right. I'm one of the ones that's leading this in having it at the school. And we all want to be right. There's no question about that. I want to get it right. And everybody here wants to get it right. So help us by working together. If you have any questions, the doors are wide open, and let's do this in a positive way, because you said it. This is going to be something that's going to be here way past the time that any of us in this room today are alive. So we want to get it right. So I appreciate your comments, and if you have any others, please let us know.
Yeah. And that's why I chose to do it in this forum. I can hit everybody at once. I don't have to go through things. I know Mr. Buttery is more than willing to take those things, but time constraints for me, this presented itself, and so I took the opportunity to say, I just want to say it out loud. I appreciate you answering the questions. I realize the scope thing, but obviously there's I have my own distrust for not you, but for previous things that were done in the city, and so there's my own history besides things that I've seen that have been done and have been shady, and so and so I came to you all to say, hey, here's the questions out in front of you before, and I know I'm not the only one inside the public that feels like when we voted, and that's been a consensus when you see it across Facebook, is people voted with the assumption that that was where it was going. So to see it suddenly change to a different location, that causes concern, because I totally understand the money portion of it, but I also feel like, well, then let's take a little bit more time and slow it down if this had to be the change, and see, is there another option? So
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I did want to let those along Main Street know that we do share your concern for the need of some sort of activity in that area, downtown area, that draws people to it. I was very hopeful that the Family Entertainment Center would go there. And for some reason, they didn't. I mean, I understand the bank asked for more equity up front from them. I don't know how much that additional equity was, but if it's a couple $100,000, maybe they can issue some bonds or something, or, a stock, and make it a corporation. I don't know. Brian maybe can work with them to see if that might be something that still might make it go. If we can find some interesting financing arrangements. But anyway, certainly from the Main Street Board's perspective, we're also trying to make things more walkable. And so on next Tuesday night, when we have this meeting at, I think it's a UPass Cultural Center, on walkability and a traffic study for the city, I hope you're there and be able to make comments, because some of the recommendations do address making it easier for people to get downtown and be able to walk around. So these are things that are being hit in various directions, that we are trying to solve the problems we have there along Main Street. So thank you very much for your good presentation. David, you did make an offer to him to show what was at the DDA property and compare it to what we're proposing to do at the high school. And for that, I think just the pictures would answer a lot of questions. So at the time where you think that's appropriate, we've gotten enough clarity on what we're going to do at the high school. I would appreciate that being posted on the city website.
And I'm happy to show that to anybody at any time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Mike, thanks again. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on. I have three more and possibly more that want to comment. If I would just ask you to do this, anything that Mike just spoke about, if we wouldn't duplicate anything in those terms, then we will move forward. And next I've got, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing this right, Ron Konizny.
That would be me.
Is that correct?
It's Konizny.
Konizny, I'm sorry. Thank you, Ron. If you just restate your name and give us your address, please.
My name is Ron Konizny. I have the Full House Antiques in Woodland Park, and also another building across the street. My concern is the aquatic center, and I'll try not to duplicate. I have some more input. It was disappointing for quite a few merchants. I took time and went through and talked to most of the merchants up and down the street. And some didn't care, but a lot were like, it was almost like you give a kid a toy and then take it away from him before he gets to play with it. We need a boost. We need a boost in downtown Woodland Park. You can go up and down the street and look how many places are empty, how many rental places. Bill Page's, the Gold Hill North and South, he's struggling. If you look down by Walmart, all those lots have been filled up. So it's no wonder. And another thing that I would like you all to consider, and I think it was in the update that David did on the website, that we're going to go back to the original plan so that we bring in retail. And it sounds like we're looking for a developer to bring in, and develop that area, okay? But you have to realize that if they develop that area, they're going to spend some money. When they spend that money, the square footage is going to be $40 a square foot, plus tripling it. It's going to make it $50 or $55 a square foot. And you can't afford to pay that much in square footage with a small business. You can't. And so why create more retail when we have an environment where retail is suffering? We have so many empty spots. What are we doing? Why would we even think that? It doesn't make sense. Now, what we need to do is we need to bring people into Woodland Park. We need to make it kind of a destination. We don't have a ski resort, but if we had an aquatic center that was visible, maybe that would help us. If we did things like maybe like a mini roller arena where we could have concerts, things that are visible on Highway 24 every time. And for the summer, actually that's been improving. We have various functions. Every time we have a function, I'm busy. I'm busy. Sometimes I don't eat lunch until 1:30, which is fine. But the whole key behind this fix is to bring people into Woodland Park. And not only during the summer, through the winter, retailers suffer. You might as well just close down in February. Lots of people, I'm going to. It's crazy. And so we need, functions in the winter. Someplace, maybe a facility that we can have functions in the winter. Concerts, plays, something, anything. But I envision Woodland Station, if we have the aquatic center, to complement that with other functions to bring people into Woodland Park and to take a $14 million project and tuck it away in a box out by the school. And that's what you're doing. For people passing through town, we get cars every day, many cars passing through town. Just get them to stop and make them slow down. Why aren't we writing tickets for speeders? I mean, I know I've seen people doing 55 and a 30. I mean, you know, every time I see someone from the police force out there, it's like, yeah, get them, because it's constant. It's constant. And someone's going to get killed walking across that street. So those are the things that we can do to be able to get retail going again. And in addition, the Aquatic Center would help us do that. Now, I'm a businessman. You have to spend money to make money. Over 50% of the city's income comes from sales tax. Okay, what happens if you start losing retailers? What happens if downtown Woodland Park just dies? You're going to lose money. So spend some money and let's make some money, all of us. And I'll just leave it at that. I mean, I have some other ideas too, but I don't want to duplicate, you know, a lot what the other gentleman said. And no, that's all I have.
Great. Thank you for your comments.
Please. Ron, I was willing to give a boost. I convinced the council to give a boost by putting the Aquatic Center in Woodland Station, but it passed my threshold of pain for that boost. I really struggle with what's government's involvement in boosting business. We have a DDA that can do that. The community has voted several times not to provide incentives, so I want to honor that. But I was willing. I convinced the council, let's provide that boost. But it got too painful, and I could not, in good conscience, double the amount that we were going to spend for that boost. But no disagreement about the downtown needing a boost. Bringing people in, I've already commented, I don't think a pool brings people in. Your comment on speeding tickets, we've written almost 3 times the number of tickets in the last 6 months for things such as speeding and red light running and those than we did in the previous 6 months. So we are making stops. We have an officer now that is generally dedicated to Highway 24 and Highway 67 constantly. So that's a drain on the rest of the community, but it's working. We are slowing things down. I asked the DDA and Main Street group to send me an email that I could send to CDOT begging them to slow the speed down. Do the same thing. Send me an email from you as a businessman asking me to ask CDOT to slow things down. I will send that to them. I don't have any other comments on what you said, but thanks for being here.
Thanks, Ron.
Ron, I'd like to thank you for your comments, because everything you brought up was the argument we used when we first decided to cite the aquatic project on Woodland Station. And we had a public hearing where a lot of folks had arguments for other locations, but ultimately, as a council, we supported a decision for Woodland Station because of the very things you mentioned. But I commend David for giving us the very difficult news of saying it's just not going to work economically. We just cannot afford to do it there and provide the product that we promised the public. And I respect that decision, and I support his decision to find another location. Ultimately, the high school may not be the right location, but we won't know that until we do the same due diligence that he did with Woodland Station. But I would love to see a concert venue down there. That would be something else.
Or you know, just another comment too. Even like a museum. I mean, there's a gentleman, Joe Moore. He has a lot of Colorado Midland collectibles, and he, from my understanding, he looked at trying to do something to divide with the old whistle stuff.
You know, and we're doing that. We moved the baggage building. Instead of tearing it down for about $5,000, we're spending about $30,000 to move it to Bergstrom Park. We hope to have a train museum inside of that. That's why we're moving it there.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and thanks for calling me earlier. We had about an hour and a half discussion on this. Sure, yeah. My wife said, but anyway, no, my previous comments also apply to you. In the meantime, I've had my little brain going too on trying to get that family entertainment center just in Lot 3. I thought, you know, so we could come up with ideas. Here's another one. Can we just give the land to the Corzequas, the land money they would have spent on buying the land could then probably make up the equity difference they have. Because we're not-
Charter prohibits it.
Charter prohibits giving land? You can sell it for $1. Okay, anyway, we got to think creatively about how to make things happen there, okay? And their land, I don't think, is really mucked around with construction debris and having to reroute the Fountain Creek and all the other problems. They have a road in front of them already. We were going to have build a road. In fact, that road was supposed to have been built by the developers of Lot 2. And when they decided not to build there, we end up picking up the cost of that road and stuff. So anyway, I give the DDA a challenge now, and I think they're working on it. I mean, that's their job, to find a solution to that property.
One thing that I hope that you really consider and maybe have some discussion about is what I was saying about the big box. If we bring a developer in there with big box stuff, it's going to create more retail space at a higher cost, and we can't. I mean, I have a building I rent. It's $10 a square foot, and it's not triple net, and that's the reason it's rented. I mean, there is no way I could rent it for $40 with triple net. No way. That's why Mr. Page's properties are empty, because his is a lot higher. So really consider that, because you bring a developer in like that, and that's what's going to happen. And then even if that development fills up, then all the other spaces they're going to even be emptier. Really consider that. Think about that. Because, I mean, don't kill downtown Woodland Park. I like it. I've been here for 20 years in business. I like downtown Woodland Park. Let's keep it.
Thank you, sir. That's probably the best thing I heard tonight from you, was that if we do bring more retail in there, and they start, the property taxes are going to be on what's the current retail cost. And your tax is going to go sky high, just like when we sold Java the Hutt. Everybody else was affected in town just by one property sale. So that is certainly a very strong argument on our side to really consider what we are putting in. I mean, certainly we have a huge housing shortage right now. Perhaps we need more housing in that area rather than more retail. And that's probably what had Lot 2 with the developer there, is they wanted all housing, and I think the DDA wanted a little mixed use. But anyway, point taken, and thank you for educating us. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Rob. Okay, we'll move on. Ellen, do you have anything else to add? Okay, thank you. And Mr. Steve Jerslow.
Thank you, Neil. Steve Jerslow, 610 Sun Valley Drive here in Woodland Park. Tonight I am speaking for a group, not just myself. I am representing the Woodland Aquatic Project Board of Directors, and I did want to state for the record that we do fully support David Buttery's decision, tentative decision, subject to the Board of Education, the school district confirming it.
Steve, you're a little close to that mic.
The proposed move of the Woodland Aquatic Project to the high school site, adjacent to the high school, subject, as I said, to the legalities associated with that. I think Mike made some excellent points, but since I'm on the board and I'm somewhat privy to information, I fully expected David to answer exactly the way he did, and I fully agree with all of his responses. Nonetheless, respect your many excellent points. We believe that that site is an acceptable site. There is no ideal site for the Woodland Aquatic Project. There is none. 4 different locations have been considered over the last 1 year, 15 months, 18 months, 2 years or so. That is an acceptable site. It has pros and cons like every other site, but we can fit the thousands of square feet of the footprint of the aquatic project into that site. There is ample parking. There may be occasions, like a major event, such a major aquatic meet, a regional meet, where it's possible the parking may have to be parsed out. But in general, there's adequate parking. There's even, because I've seen the new footprint overlaid on that property, thanks to you, David, and your staff, and there is even room for potential expansion should the taxpayers decide to approve it. So that site can work. There are the issues of, is there congestion, particularly at the beginning of the end of the school day? Yes. And that's a function of programmatics. The Aquatic Center programs will have to be geared so as not to overly conflict with the beginning and end of the school year. There are issues, but they're all addressable. That site can work. And as I said, there is no perfect site. And our ultimate position on this, if I had to sum it up, is that we want an aquatic project that contains the features and amenities that the citizens of Woodland Park and Greater Teller County want and need, that fit within the city's budget to afford it, and that can be built in the foreseeable future. That's our bottom line, and we do believe that this site can accommodate all of those desires. I was going to stop right there. I'll make one additional comment to address your comments, sir. I also happen to be on the Main Street Board. Now, I am not authorized to speak for that board, but I will tell you that we are working very hard, along with the DDA, to try to develop downtown and make it more vibrant from a retail perspective. Your point is right on the money, right on the money. If our downtown survives and thrives, this city will survive and thrive. So we do have to work very hard to improve the retail ambiance of downtown, and there are moves afoot to do that, and I'd be happy to speak to you after our meeting just to fill you in on what the Main Street Board of Directors is trying to do to help retailers exactly like you. And I see other members of our board are present here today. I didn't expect that comment, but it's a very valid one, and I'm particularly smarting at your comments because they are valid, because exactly 1 year ago, I was arguably the chief spokesperson for the Woodland Aquatic Project, selling it to anything that wouldn't move. I would speak before any group, and one of the big points that I made was we believe it's going to be at the Woodland Station. We think it's going to be a great magnet for retail activity. Well, you're right. We don't have that at the high school. Like I said a few minutes ago, there are pros and cons of every potential site, and the Main Street Board and the Downtown Development Authority and the Economic Development Office are trying very hard to accomplish the objectives that you feel and we all feel are necessary to keep this town vibrant. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. Anybody else, young lady? If you'd like to come forward, state your name and address, and we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, my name is Ellen Zhu. I'm the frozen yogurt shop owner, and I realized recently, the past year, all the business opened last year. Only two remains. One is My Sweet Escape and me. And all the spot, it's been on the Main Street, it's been moving away. And I have tourists or visitor, they just walk around and they come into my shop and they ask me, where can I, what can I do on Main Street? There's no store open. There's nothing to shop on, and there's nothing to do for them, and it's when you doesn't have anything, they're not going to come back next time because they know there's nothing in Woodland Park to attract them here. So that's the concern. I was hoping next year when the pool comes in, if I'm in town for an event and it ends at 3 o'clock and there's a pool, I don't mind to take my kids or, go to, a pool with my friend. I don't know if this pool area is going to be like a charger fee or was it just going to be a public pool for, for a minimum charge for it. But I think it will be a attraction for tourists. I mean, not like a main one, but it will have the customer or tourist people stay longer. Have something to do in Woodland Park, not just okay, the event's done, let me go home. Yeah, I think that's the things I was trying to cover it with, because it's tough to open a business here, and finally we gotta hope there's something is going in, then we didn't get anything. Yes.
Thank you very much. What's the name of your business again?
Rainbow Twist.
What?
The yogurt place.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience that didn't sign up? Okay, if not, we will move on to agenda item number 12 and reports. And I will begin this evening. Events for this week, starting tomorrow, Woodland Park High School football, 7 o'clock at the field, and they're playing against Summit tomorrow. And then on this coming Monday, on the 21st, is the state regional qualifying that we will actually be hosting here, and we have 4 golfers participating in that. Friday, tomorrow, the 18th, and next Friday, the 25th, are the last 2 farmers markets of the year behind Vetra Bank and the Catholic Church from 7 to 1 o'clock. This Saturday and Sunday, the 19th and 20th, is the 18th annual Rocky Mountain Oktoberfest Plus. Great event, 5,000-6,000 people from all over the community at the UPass Cultural Center from 11 to 6 both days. So hopefully we can see you all out there. Next Tuesday, the 22nd, there is a public meeting on the traffic circulation study at the UPass Cultural Center, and that starts at 6 o'clock. Is that correct, Sally?
6 o'clock.
6 to 7:30. That's next Tuesday. Next Friday, the 25th, the 5th annual Taste of Teller benefiting community partnership, Family Resource Center. It's at the Shiny Mountain Golf Course. I know most of the restaurants in town will participate in that. From 5 to 8:30 next Friday. You can call 686-0705 for more information. And finally, Thursday, October 1st, 2 weeks from today, Chamber Lunch and Learn, City of Woodland Park and the County of Teller, Q&A with our city manager and our county administrator, Cheryl Decker. That's from 11:30 to 1 o'clock, Thursday, October 1st.
Oktoberfest.
What about it?
You didn't mention it.
Sure I did. Yeah, she did.
Well, I'm going to tap the keg, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jill will be tapping the keg. What time, 11 o'clock?
You bet, on Saturday.
She'll be tapping the keg. I'll be coaching baseball if anyone wants to come watch baseball. Okay, that's all I have. Anyone else on council? Report tonight?
Yeah, I had a board meeting, a Main Street board meeting the other day. Were you going to report on it, or should I report on it? Well, it was basically, we encouraged, we've directed, asked, or whatever, Brian to submit for the DDA budget, or not the DDA, but the Main Street budget for this coming year, various items. We'll, of course, talk to that in the budget sessions, so I don't want you to go into detail on that because we've got to go see a Bronco game. They also agreed to, by the 15th of October, have submitted the 501c3 application to IRS to get that ball rolling too. So,
thank you, sir. Ken?
Just a quick note on Keep Woodland Park Beautiful. You'll start seeing again, rejuvenating, I guess, an effort that had been done in the past and recognizing both businesses and residences for doing a good job and keeping things clean and neat and picked up and landscaped around their homes or their business. So you'll see more of that happening throughout the town. We certainly appreciate everybody paying attention to that.
Thanks, Ken. Anyone else? Phil?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll move on, Aaron.
I have nothing.
Nothing. Hey, Mr. Buttery.
Just an update from Brian.
Timing is everything, Mayor and Council. Good evening. I want to go through just quickly our retreat between Main Street and the DDA. On August 24th, the joint DDA Main Street retreat was held, including a combination of the DDA and Main Street boards, facilitated by our Main Street coordinator Darlene Jensen, with a focus on small-town retail. Tracy Barnett, former Steamboat Springs Main Street program manager, served as a moderator during our short, mid, and long-term action item session with her anecdotal stories about Steamboat and how it relates to small town. It was, I thought, a very informative session. Even with our aggressive sales tax growth over the last 3 years, we want a better understanding of how retailers are doing. Although the data shows that there's an upward growth curve for most retailers, some retailers, certainly national retailers, are doing better than others. It is our intent moving forward to dial down on specific retail sectors and maximize retail opportunities within the city, and specifically the downtown corridor. The Office of Economic Development, through DDA and Main Street efforts, will focus on targeted action items identified during the retreat, including, and I'll be brief, short-term, some of the things that you've heard this evening: address operational hours, establish retail density downtown, create a top 10 list of best things to do in Woodland Park and on Main Street, continue downtown beautification projects, establish a destination concept for downtown. For example, you need to always leverage what's in your community. Obviously, Karis is a significant footprint. That demographic onto and into the Main Street geography. And then finally, in the short term, kiosk-themed directory maps. What can we do now in terms of our budget and action items that could be accomplished within several months? Midterm downtown improvement plan. This is an important distinction, because in our review, and I'll talk here in a moment about the review of our foundation plan for DDA, it became apparent. In fact, Tanner was very influential in bringing this to the forefront on our DDA relative to what are we thinking about over the course of not only the next 6 months, but the next 3 to 5 to 10 years for downtown improvement. With that, budget planning and design work program looking at a comprehensive improvement plan for the downtown area, including pedestrian access, traffic flow, speed limits, land use mix, streetscapes, twin alley development, event-centric location, beautification, and incorporation of community heritage and historic values. These are things that you've heard before, but how do we put them into a context that we can quantify into a planning effort, and more importantly, put into a budget context? Long-term, develop legacy and unified branding throughout the city, develop alternative traffic routes that accommodate an expanded and improved downtown core, promote and develop 2 to 3 additional attractions similar to the Dinosaur Center, examine alternative transportation options, expanded bicycle paths or trolley gondola experience, and finally, affordable workforce housing. Some of the comments you've heard tonight, we're moving, and I'll just tell you right on, we've moved on. And I've had these conversations, the city manager and I, Woodland Station, we're moving on. The spot called Woodland Station in the center of town, we're focusing on new development activities and efforts, and we'll work with the city, and whatever it is, we'll be successful. So that's our attitude and feeling moving forward. I know the DDA board want to say it. I think, Steve, you did a good job from the Main Street, and certainly Darlene is on the street every day telling that message. So we appreciate that. Central theme moving forward, the DDA is the creator and conduit of a revenue stream on into the future. The Main Street effort will serve as a facilitator and programming arm of the DDA that will function and develop projects readily identified and that serve the community within the downtown core area. The Main Street will be the lieutenant, if you will, of the DDA. And one of the things that became very apparent when we redid Mary Jo Larson, our chairperson, led the effort to review the foundation plan, and in the end we decided not to change it because it's relevant and it is consistent with what the message we're trying to send with the Main Street effort, and we'll use that in the context moving forward. With that, finally, some other things that are important. One of the things that we hear on the street over the summer about retail employee, particularly in our service sector economy, We have a lot of fast food, convenience, grocery, service sector employees, and almost every restaurant store you see a help wanted sign. We're going to conduct a survey that'll look at salaries, stress points, how can we help plan relative employment directives into the future. This will be an initiative will start this year and probably finish in the first quarter of 2016, and be able to look at that and objectively communicate that at the street level. I want to also talk a little bit, and we'll get into this more in the budget, because I want everybody to understand what's happening within the DDA financially. We had a guest visitor at our last DDA meeting, our assessor, Betty Clark Wine, and with the help of our finance director, Wally Dingwell, we get, as council knows, you get it, the city manager gets it for the entire city on property tax. We get it for the DDA. It's the certification evaluation by Teller County Assessor. And I'll just throw out some general numbers, and we'll chat more about this as the budget season continues. Last year, we had a net total taxable assessed valuation of just over $19 million. This year, it's $22 million, almost $23 million. The TIF increment last year was just under $5 million at 4.9. This year, $6,022,000. Interesting comment from the assessor was across the county, commercial valuation is down 7%. It's a little bit less than the DDA, but the main driver in our DDA is new construction. And it's the Trail Ridges, it's the Tractor Supply, it's the Family Dollar, it's the Woodland Hardware. Outside, within our DDA boundaries, we have a lot of activity, which is, we're making a fairly robust revenue stream. Just to kind of give you an example, last year our budgeted revenue was just over $398,000. This year we're projecting $528,000. What does that allow us to do? It allows us to have revenue to pay that city debt, which we will do. We'll make that $36,000 payment next year and beyond with a schedule that we're working on with the city manager. And then also revenue to be able to perfect some of the projects that I've just mentioned. Working with Main Street, working with DDA, some of the projects, I know there's some conversations about various things that we'd like to accomplish. The story is good. And so I want to, with everything else that we're discussing this evening, I want people to understand that the DDA is financially healthy. We will pay our debt, we will move forward, and we will get things done, particularly in the downtown and within Main Street. We're excited about that. Finally, note keeping. We have a broadband survey working with Teller County. Commissioner Steen has led an effort with Teller County Broadband. On the Chamber website is a survey for businesses and residents. I would encourage everybody to look for that and fill out that survey. On December 1st, Tuesday, 7 p.m., Cultural Center, we will have a Woodland Park informational session on broadband and invite everybody to come. We'll get more word out as we do that. I appreciate it, and what questions or comments can I address tonight? I know the Broncos score, but I'm not going to tell you.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for everything. Anybody else this evening before we adjourn? Okay, this meeting's adjourned.
No, well, I'm always wrong.